Guys, this is just going to be a quick tutorial on how to use forms and build an acrylic nail. For someone who is used to using tips um, and is transitioning into building your own nail, this tutorial will be helpful. I'm not going to go into all the basics of prep because this tutorial is not for somebody who has never prepped a nail before. I've done beginner tutorials on nail prep and all that stuff before, so you guys can go back into my videos and look for that stuff. Right now, this is just to show you the basics of building an acrylic nail on top of a form. I have two different types of forms here. This one is a reusable form, okay, and this one is a disposable form. I'm going to show you guys with the disposable form because this is the kind that you should be using if you're practicing. It can get pretty expensive if you practice a lot, but honestly, if you've been doing acrylic nails for a while, and this is for ladies who have been doing acrylic nails for a while, you know how to make your bead, you know how to sculpt the nail on top of a plastic tip. Now you're just going to sculpt it on top of this instead of on top of a plastic tip. It's fairly simple. You can use the middle insert for extra support on the back of the nail. I don't feel the need to do that. So I'm just going to stick that right there. You're going to prep your nail as if you would any other short nail. Okay, so Henrietta here has a regular short nail tip on. What you want to do is you want to start by forming the form itself. You want to roll it and kind of make it C-shaped for the C curve. You then want to let your client relax. Her fingers should be loose and easy for you to move and manipulate with your fingers like this, okay? So what I do is I use two of my fingers to guide her nail and my thumb and other fingers to guide the form. You want to aim it down, slip it up under the nail, and then lay it flat on the back of her finger. Then you're going to use your thumbs to just pinch a little bit and let go. You're then going to hold underneath here, all right, a little bit, and pinch it to the C curve, all right. For some reason, Henrietta doesn't like to keep these nail tips on. And then you're just pinching here, okay. You're not flattening all of this. If you flatten the tip up here, your nail's going to be really narrow and pointy. You're basically pinching the tip together a little bit. Now you can choose whether or not you want to bring that nail out to a point and sculpt it that way, or if you want to make a square nail and follow the guides. I'm just going to make a square nail to start so that you learn how to use the form. The next thing you would do, of course, is make sure that you have your primer, your nail prep, all that stuff, okay? I'm going to show you how I do a nail form. What I like to do with nail forms, especially on nail biters or people with short nails, is I use what's called the reverse application. That means instead of starting from the tip and working my way up, I start from the cuticle and work my way down. For this one, we're going to do a simple pink and white. And I forgot to get my white, so bear with me 1 second. Oops, that went flying. So I'm going to take my white acrylic, I'm going to put it in my dapping dish just like that. I made a big old mess. I will. Alright, so I have my cover pink here from Diva DC, and I have my solid white here also from Diva DC. The liquid I'm using, again, Diva DC. So we're going to start at the nail bed and we're going to make our smile line first. Now for someone who has really short nails, you're going to bring that smile line down over onto the form. That's going to help bridge the gap between the natural nail and the acrylic that's on the form. The same as a plastic tip would do. It bridges the gap between what is non-existent and what does exist. So we're going to do that right now. We're going to make our very first bead right smack in the middle. Your bead when working with a form is the same as when working with a nail tip. Not too dry, not too wet. You want it to fall. You're going to push it up toward the cuticle. And if it starts dripping, don't worry about it. Drag it up to the natural nail. Believe me, this is not going to be a horrible, horrible nail, because the nail form, when you put it on, it should be flush to the natural nail, meaning the underneath part should be touching the underneath of someone's natural nail. If they do not have a long enough natural nail for it to touch, then you're just going to create one. You're going to go ahead and you're going to bridge that gap with your acrylic. Okay? So I'm going to create my smile line, right? And I'm making it kind of a bigger, you know, nail bed, so that you guys can see me actually use the form for the nail bed. Alright? That's got to be the ugliest smile line I've ever done, but whatever. Okay. So basically now what I've done, if you can see, let me see if I can zoom you guys in a little bit. If you can see, I've bridged the gap between the natural nail and the bed of the form. So now there's acrylic laying on her natural nail and on the form. That's going to harden and create a really good deck for our acrylic to sit on. So you're basically creating your own tip. You know what I'm saying? Like, then I'm going to put on the last bead closest to the cuticle. I'm going to smooth it out a little bit. Clean up your sides. Make sure that you have nothing on the skin. And remember, if you do mess up and it's lumpy or whatever, the file is your best friend. Because y'all girls know, you people who've been doing acrylics for a while, everybody messes up at some point, and that file comes in handy. Alright, so now that I've got my pink, you're going to do exactly the same thing, and you're going to use the guide on the form as to how long you want this nail. I'm going to go down to about the third line. So I'm going to get my acrylic, right? I'm going to let it come to consistency. I'm going to set it down, and we know it's going to drip, okay? It's going to drip. Let it do its thing. Because you know, on the nail form, it stays wet for quite a bit. I'm going to add some more acrylic, right? I'm going to bring it up to the sides of the smile line to make my pretty smile line, right? And I'm going to just kind of let it do its thing, and you can use your brush as a tool to kind of push things into where they need to be. If you get your white on top of the pink, or vice versa, all you need to do is wet your brush a little bit, clean it, and use it as like a chisel. Because you can clean that white right off of that line with your brush just like that. Push it down if you gotta, because we're going to encapsulate the hell out of this anyway. Push it down, flatten it, pull it toward the tip. Do what you gotta do. Okay? Now, this doesn't come with the first time. Practice makes perfect. You guys know it takes time to learn how to do this stuff. Now, that's with 2 smaller beads, and I've got my full coverage. Okay? It's fairly thick. Let me see if I can show you. Okay? The most important part of building a nail, sculpting a nail, is to make sure that your apex or the arch of your nail is strong enough to support the extra length. Okay? As a professional, I would tell you that if you're a nail biter, I'm not going to make your nail longer than half of the length of your natural nail, because it's unsafe. Your body is not going to make allowances for that. When you go to grab for things, you're going to smash that longer tip and you're going to have lifting. You can cause damage to your natural nails. You know, all kinds of crazy stuff can happen. But you know what? Some people come into the salon and they want long nails, okay? There's nothing you can do to change their mind. And if you don't give it to them, someone else will give it to them. You know what I'm saying? I'm not telling you to do it. I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm telling you that you should advise your clients the best thing that is healthiest for their nails. But if they say, I want nails this long and they have short ass nubby nails, I'm telling you how to make it safest, okay? The best way to do that is to make sure that the apex or the bridge of the nail, where it's going to take the most, you know, where it needs the most strength, needs to be thick enough. That's where your clear coat comes in. That's where you encapsulate. So now that I've got my pink and white set, I'm going to take my clear and I'm going to set it right on that bridged line. I'm going to drag it up toward the top and then I'm going to smooth it down toward the bottom. I'm going to clean my sides up. Okay? And that's going to give me a nice structured nail here. It's going to really, really bring some extra strength to that apex there without ruining the integrity of the pink and the white. I'm going to use the clear again toward the tip because you always want to reinforce that and get it nice and tight up to the cuticle. And then all I do is I just pull down. And if I have to remove extra when I'm doing it, I remove it. Okay, guys? What you want to do now is, because that nail is still a little it's not as hard as it could be. Now is the perfect time to pinch your nail. All right, once that top coat is a little less sticky, you can use both of your thumbs to pinch that nail in a little bit and give it a better C-curve, which also helps with strengthening. Or you can use a pinching tool, which I like to use. You set the pinching tool right on the corners, give it a little bit of a pinch, okay? And you let it set for a few minutes. Once your pinching tool is set, it'll be about maybe 30 to 45 seconds till it's, hard enough, okay? Once that's set, you're going to squeeze a little bit, and then you're going to take it off, okay? And I can look right down the barrel of this nail and see the arch. I can see the C-curve, and I know that it's good. The next thing you do is you pinch or tear that off, whatever. I don't need to tear it. You just fold it off and take it out of the bottom after the nail is hard. And that's how you build a nail. Simple as that. Once you're done building, you can look underneath. You can see if the nail is structurally sound. You can tell if there's gaps under there. If there are gaps under there, don't freak out. Add a little acrylic with your brush. You'll be fine. Practice makes perfect, So what you would do with this nail is the same as you would do with anybody's nail. I'm not going to go into it. You just file the sides, smooth it out. Make sure to look at your client's nail from every angle that they're going to see it, okay? Shape it, top coat it, and you're done. Okay? Same thing if you were going to use the reusable form here. You would basically take your client's finger, put it underneath the nail, bend it around, slide this bar back, and then shape it the way that you want it to be shaped. And you're good. Okay? Playing with the forms, I think, is probably the hardest part about sculpting a nail. All right? The ball consistency, of course, your ball can't be too wet. It can't be too dry. It won't stick to the form if it's too dry. So if you're having trouble with consistency in creating your acrylic balls, buy a really, really cheap acrylic, something that you can afford to waste. Make your ball, watch it set, and give it 2 or 3 extra seconds. If it starts running off of that brush, it's not going to be a good ball. But if it stays shiny for a few seconds, you can even take the inside dot and practice on that. Stick it to it. If it comes to consistency, and then starts to drop a little bit, you have a good ball. All right? I can move this ball. I can manipulate it. Okay? Use your sides of your brushes. This is where the sides of your brush really come into play when you're sculpting a nail. You really, really do use the sides and the belly of your brush to kind of help scoop that stuff back up on the form and push it to where it needs to be. Okay? Drying off your brush in between will help take away any extra moisture that's in the bead. Okay? Until you can actually form it into something that's useful. Okay? Once you have it dry, you can pat, you can manipulate. You know, you get to that point where you can actually move your acrylic around and do what you want with it, then you're good. You know what I'm saying? So just practice, practice, practice. I hope this tutorial has been helpful for anybody who is having a little trouble with sculpting nails. Don't get discouraged. You will get there. Don't mind my terrible, terrible nails because I've been popping them off every so often. So now I've got one thumb on, one thumb off, you know. So it goes. Anyway, I hope that you guys have enjoyed this tutorial, and I'll talk to you guys soon.